We have been fighting. We have been sharing our story about the mercury contamination to our community, to our reserve, to our community members. It's been a long, hard fight trying to get our people compensated, trying to get people healthy again. We're in the process of, they're doing studies right now with the possibility of being able to clean up the river, take the mercury out of the river system. It's a long process. We're not even sure if it could happen to clean up the river, but I hope that we'll be able to do it so that our river will be restored and we'll be able to eat the fish again, be able to resume our fishing economy. But that's going to take a long time, but we're working and it's coming along slowly. But again, like I said, I hope it can be done, and the possibility is there that the river will be cleaned up. We also have the longest blockade in the history of Canada. We stood up against logging. The community itself stood up against logging. We've been able to stop logging within our traditional territory. We have another 10 years where there'll be no logging in the community. Then we'll have to negotiate again or have to have a little scrap again. So it seems, you know, we always have to constantly fight. We're always constantly having to voice our opinion. We always have to go and say, no, we don't want this in our traditional territory. We don't want these things because we want to be able to live the life that we used to live. We want to be able to fish and hunt. We want to be able to go out on the land and enjoy the land. We don't want a land where there's no trees. We don't want a land where it's barren. If you want to live in a barren land, let's discover how we could live in Mars. I know people are studying that. There's nothing up there. If you want to live in a piece of rock, let's study how you could go live at the moon and we'll put you there. But as for me, like, I would like to live in this world and on this earth where there's trees, where there's air to breathe, where we could get on a canoe and go paddle around, where we could go outside and look at the birds that are flying above us, where we could listen to the birds every morning, hear the chirping, hear the morning birds singing. That is something that I look forward to every morning. If you're a morning person, you know, you get up 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, go out into your porch, you could hear the birds singing. That's beautiful. But if you kill our land, if you contaminate our land, imagine going outside and hearing nothing. That's not good. I enjoy listening to the birds. I enjoy hearing the blackbirds, the yellowbirds, the different kind of birds that are singing in the morning. And that's why we fight. That's why we stand up. That's why we voice our concerns, because we want to continue to live that good lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle. And I've shared this with people, and I'm going to say it again. This is not just an Aboriginal issue or an Indigenous issue. It's for all of us. It's for everybody. It's for everybody that enjoys the land. It's for everybody that enjoys camping and going out on the land. I'm sure many of you go on your RV or you go somewhere on weekends with your tent and with your children. You go out there and enjoy your time with your family. You don't want to go out there being worried that there's going to be the potential of a nuclear element or substances, the potential that your children could come in contact with these kind of things and develop cancer or whatever other things it causes. You want to be able to go out there and enjoy these things with no worries. You don't have to worry about anything because it's clean and it's good for you.
Yeah.
Mining. We've also stood up against mining. We've been helping our neighbors that we've been saying no mining because mining brings disaster as well. Mining brings contamination. Every mine that's built always destroys the water system. It always leaves behind waste. It always contaminates the watersheds, the rivers, the creeks. And there's been so much discussion of prosperity. There's been so much discussion of benefits. But I want to remind you today, there was a mine at Asubpeeschoseewagong First Nation with the Bears. The Bears went in there, they did their mining, and they left. And Asubpeeschoseewagong First Nation is still the same. It hasn't changed. They're still living in poor housing condition. They're still struggling the way they did before the Bears came in, and after the Bears left, it's still the same. They're not living more prosperous than they were before. They're just left. And these things are often happen over and over again. I talked about the forestry in Grassy Narrows. We got nothing out of that forestry, not even a dime. They promised jobs for our community members. There's no jobs for our community members. We got nothing. And so they wonder why we get upset. That's very simple. When someone comes into your land, takes your resources and they leave and you're standing there with nothing, I'm sure you would get upset too. And so, mining causes damage, a lot of damage, and other resource extractions cause a lot of damage, and it really brings little benefit to our community First Nations. And I look at the future. I'm not looking at the immediate, like today, like now. I'm looking forward. I look forward to the day that my great-grandchildren will be able to enjoy the land, that my great-grandchildren will be able to have trees and birds and animals, that my great-grandchildren will be able to go out and go fishing, take their canoe, take their boat, go enjoy the river system, knowing that the river system is clean and safe. I want my great-grandchildren to know that they can go outside and that the air they breathe is good, that they don't have to worry, they don't have to wear a mask, that they can go outside and breathe the air because the air is still good. I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking of 2, 3, 4 generations ahead. I want to be able to, I know I won't be around, but I hope that one day one of my great-grandchildren will say, great-grandpa stood up for us, great-grandpa stood up for us, spoke up for us, now we're able to enjoy our earth today. I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about them. And I'm thinking about your great-grandchildren too. I'm thinking about our future generations, that they will be able to enjoy this earth and not to have to worry about any contamination or other poisonous things in the air. So, in closing, I just want to say, I want to tell you that the position we hold as Grassy Narrows First Nation, we are saying no to nuclear waste. We are saying no to any kind of dumping within our traditional territory, within near our area. Grassy Narrows is only like a 3-hour drive from Ignis, Ontario. That's way too close for us. That's too close. And we don't want this nuclear waste dump near our area. We just don't want it there, period.
Yeah.
The question they're asking is the transportation. The transportation of it being brought from down south to north. You know full well, you've seen it on television, that trains have derailed, that ships have, well, they're not going to use a ship, but I know they'll probably use a train or truck it to bring it up north. You know full well that there's been accidents. You know full well there's been oil spills, there's been chemical spills, there's been accidents, and there is going to be an accident transporting this dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
There is always a possibility. If it happens with other substances, it could happen with this. And the towns, the townships, the cities that are along these train routes or along these highways, they should be worried. And they should speak up. They should say something. They should say, no, we don't want this passing by our area. This is very dangerous. And I'm happy that you are standing with us today to say no to nuclear waste. Thank you.
Request Rudy. We're gonna move up. Our next speaker is from KI, Sam McKay.
Bonjour everybody. Nice to see you all here. Just a little bit of introduction. My name is Sam McKay. I'm currently a council member for my community of Kitchenuhmaykoosib Inninuwug, better known as KI for short, for those people that don't know how to say it. And just a little bit of background why I'm here as well. My community, we're in conflict with the resource industry, mineral exploration in our territory, and we were also up against Ontario, who was backing up the industry, Platniks. And after 2 years, we ended up going to jail for our position, refusing to allow exploration in our territory, because the reason being is that where they wanted to have the exploration is only 17 kilometers from our lake. Our lake is about 30 miles long, approximately, and then about 16, 18 miles wide at the widest point. And we live and depend on that lake for our survival. And where they wanted to have an open pit mine, they wanted to drain 2 lakes that are both connected by river systems to our lake downriver. And that's where the fish spawn, and we have medicinal plants there, and we also have grave sites along the way. And we just could not risk to allow that to happen, even though they guaranteed us that it is safe. But nothing was going to happen. But for KI, our experience at resource development has always been negative. Currently, today, as I speak here, we have 13 sites right in our community that are contaminated that the government and the resource industry has not cleaned up yet. And we've been fighting for years to get it cleaned up. And we got our reserve status about in the 70s, and prior to that, the government of Canada was handing out parcels of our land like candy to children. And a lot of them have come and gone, and they left the land contaminated that we cannot use. And there's also, a lot of you know Pickle Lake. It's a booming mining town in the 50s, 60s. A lot of our people went there to work. A lot of them died because of poor working conditions. And when the mining stopped, slowed down, pretty much Pickle Lake was a ghost town. And it was the First Nations that kept it alive with transportation of goods. And slowly mining is coming back again to Pickle Lake. And I was also fortunate enough to go to Pewanak, which is now known as, it used to be called Winnisk, and they had a military base there, and my dad worked there, and I was fortunate enough to go after it closed, and they just left everything, heavy equipment sinking into the muskeg, barrels of oil and gas, just sinking, and they just recently cleaned it up finally, after all these years. And there's also a gold mine 60 miles north of KI. We're just right in the trapping territory of our Chief Morris. And it shut down World War II. They just left it because everybody had to go to war. And it's just sitting there. And they've never bothered to clean it up. And it affects the livelihood of our chief and his family. And this has always been, any resource development proposal has always been negative for KI. We haven't seen anything positive yet in that regard. And then when Platnex proposed to have exploration in our territory, their argument was, what are you worried about? It's only 2-inch holes that we're going to drill. I'm not worried about the 2-inch hole. I'm worried about the open pit mine that you're talking about if you're successful in drilling those 2-inch holes. And it's been proven that their claim that they want to mine, and there's 2 lakes, that ore goes under all the way to the middle of our lake. What do you think is going to happen to our lake if we allow them to drill that 2-inch hole? And this is the reason why I am here today, to stand in solidarity with Grassy Narrows, because we've been told so many times any kind of resource development is safe, guaranteed, but that's BS. And it's the same thing with this nuclear waste. It's not safe. It's not safe for anything. The environment is not safe for people. It's not safe for animals. And why should we risk it, bringing it to our territory? KI might not be right in the immediate vicinity of Ignis, but I can guarantee you it's going to impact us and our way of life if this comes here and allow it to be stored here within our region. It's going to impact everything, a lot of things. And when I was listening to Chief Rudy talking, and I remember when we were in jail here down the road, Phil Fontaine was the national chief at that time, and I had personally invited him to come to our community during our struggle to come and show his support as our national leader. He never did. We ended up in jail. A few days later, he shows up. And I asked him, do I have to go to jail to get the attention of my national leader to give me support? And we had a very interesting conversation. And he said that at some point you have to accept that resource development is going to happen. And he said, we don't have a choice. I was born into it, is what he told me. And I've been to his community, and I know about the history about his community. He's right, he was born into it. He didn't have a choice, because prior to him being born, everything was already destroyed because of decisions made. But KI still has a choice. We have, when we say natural resources, we mean things that naturally reoccur on their own as they're harvested. They're not destroyed, they naturally reoccur. And we have all the wild animals, the fish, the land, the trees, the water. Those are natural resources for us. We're not talking about the minerals underground. And I told him that why would I risk destroying all the natural resources that we can use today to get to the minerals that will destroy everything in the process? What's going to happen to the future generations? Yes, there may come a time where KI in the future may have to resort to resource development and extraction. But that's not for me to decide today. That's for the generations ahead to decide when the time comes. I'm not going to make that decision for them. And this is why I'm here today, because I'm very adamant about protecting the environment, no matter where it is, because we only have one planet and we need to save it. And everything and anything that happens that has a negative impact on our planet is not good for us. And I always think about the Mount Polly disaster that happened in BC. They guaranteed the same thing that they guaranteed us. Nothing's going to go wrong. For those of you that are not familiar with Mount Polly disaster, maybe you should look into it in Google and understand what I'm talking about. The water was destroyed, the fish were destroyed, and they can't eat them. Is that what we want? That's not what I want. I don't want that. I want to be able to eat the wild animals that are in my territory, the fish, migratory birds. Like right now, my community, a lot of them are out on the land right now, goose hunting, spring and goose hunting season. And it's right now to migratory of the caribou. So people are hunting, gathering traditional food. And this is what's at risk for all of us in all our areas if we allow things like nuclear waste to destroy our territories and our homelands. We don't want that. And this is why I stand in solidarity with Grassy Narrows and all of you that are against nuclear waste. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sam. Our next speaker is from Onigaming, and Onigaming just recently signed on with the Land Alliance. So we're gonna have Clarissa Kelly.
Sam was supposed to talk all day. I thought I had more time. So Onigaming joined back in, I think, January. Onigaming stands today with the land defines along with our neighboring communities. Chief Kopanas and our community always believe our children are the future. The proposed site not only impacts the land, but all of Treaty 3 lands and our neighboring non-Indigenous as well. Nuclear waste is such a heavy burden to lay on our Indigenous lands, but our children and all future generations. As a parent and Indigenous mother, I feel obligated to take a stand on such an important issue. Nuclear waste is terrifying when you think of the damage it can do to the land and wildlife. There is no turning back once the decision has been made. We need our government partners to start focusing on communities and also state of emergencies, not trying to destroy lands and lakes of our future. We have the power to say no now, so our future generations don't have to. Ojibways of Onigaming say no to nuclear waste. Miigwech.
Okay, Miigwech, Clarissa. We also have Chief King from Gull Bay here that's going to speak. Miigwech, Chief King.
Bonjour, Kima Ugma Nishnikaz Kiasagi Donji, Ogishkabin and the Sea Mizene Dodem, Chimigwich Kenawea. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Gull Bay First Nation. We fully support the First Nations that are against the burying of nuclear waste in our territories. As a signatory to the Robinson Superior Treaty of 1850, we vehemently oppose the transportation of any nuclear waste through our territory. And I'm not here to disparage any First Nation that's for this. And I'm speaking in particular of Waverley Lake First Nation, and they may be for or against it, but they need our consent as well. It's important that this material will be transported throughout our territory in the Robinson Superior Treaty area. We have many rivers and tributaries that intersect the Trans-Canada Highway, and we feel that this will have a very serious impact to our resources in our territory should there be a spill. And I want to enlighten the crowd today that we had a recent spill at the Lac des Îles mine. It was a platinum palladium concentrate that spilled into one of the rivers. And we were monitoring the site on a daily basis for over 35 days. And at the end of it all, MOECP did not cooperate with our First Nation. They felt they didn't need to consult with us. They felt that they were doing a good job and that they didn't need our input. And we also oppose that as well. And why that's important here today is because at the end of the day, they couldn't remediate the spill. What their solution was, and what's happening today, is that they buried the concentrate in the river, and they said they will revisit the site in later this summer. So it shows me that our government agencies cannot remediate spills. And if it's a nuclear spill, it's going to be catastrophic for our area. As I stated earlier, we're in support of not allowing this to transect our territories. And it's really important, I think, to recognize that First Nations have rights that are constitutionally protected. And it's those rights that are entrenched in the Constitution that's going to save us from this nuclear proliferation and also the burying of this. And, very much involved in, I could see the dilemma that some of the First Nations may be in terms of balancing, jobs and opportunities and so forth, but it cannot be at the cost of humanity. And we would definitely support any kind of action that would be taken, whether it be legal action or direct action. And I'm hopeful that the rest of my fellow chiefs in the Robinson Superior Treaty Territory would support this group and support us not allowing this to transect our territory. Chimigwech.
Okay, so I believe we're gonna have another speaker from Grassy Narrows. No? Okay. Okay, so we're gonna open up the mic. Before we do, let's make some noise. So, when I say Indigenous lands under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back. Indigenous lands under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
Indigenous water under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
Indigenous lives under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
Woo!
Woo!
Okay, so if anybody wants to take the mic.
Excuse me, sir. Can I just go ahead?
Oh yeah, by all means, by all means.
Thank you, sir, for allowing me to go ahead. I just, Ani Bojo. Ani Bojo. Ashki Mekana and Kwe Dejnakaz. Makorda Dem and Enki Wajin Joji. My spirit name is New Path Woman. I'm Bear Clan and I come from the community called Fort William First Nation, and in Enki is a sacred mountain that is in our community. I just wanted to take a couple of moments to say a few things that I think are important. First and foremost, I'd like to relay that the leadership of our community has passed VCRs repeatedly regarding this issue, expressing our opposition to nuclear waste being brought through the territory of Fort William First Nation, which this territory is. And in addition to that, coming from anywhere to cross through the Robinson Superior territory, there's also been resolutions passed by the Anishinaabek Nation, and Robinson Superior is part of the communities that are representative of Anishinaabek Nation. So this has been a long-standing issue for all the communities that would be impacted by this. And I can tell you that since childhood, I've heard from government, from industry, that these things are never going to harm us. You know, there's been promises made, and today the government relies on the research that has been done by NWMO to determine our safety from this nuclear waste. And that's not okay. The safety of all of our communities we need to have a say in that. Not two communities having the say in how all of us will be impacted. So, the government needs to consult with the rights holders that will be impacted. And they also need to consult with the taxpayers who will be impacted. So, Fort William First Nation is strongly opposed to the transportation of nuclear waste through our territory. And we will stand by that. We will continue to stand by that. And we stand with all those who are also opposed. You know, and we've heard the stories from communities who have been so tragically impacted, Grassy Narrows and KI, from toxic waste in communities, whatever those waste materials may be. And us being right across the river from the city of Thunder Bay, and all the toxins that are in the air from all these stacks that exist in this city are all causes of grave concern for us, and how that has impacted the health of our animals in our community, the animals, the waterways, and our people. So I just wanted to say a few things and acknowledge the work that has been undertaken to constantly be at the front of this, saying no. Those people who do this every day, you know, I wanted to acknowledge the hard work that you embark on to make sure that this does not happen and to make sure that there's a place to bring voice to this matter. So, miigwech to all of you.
Okay, we had anybody else want to speak? Want to take the mic?
I know many people have spoken about the crisis in confidence in the crisis in confidence in big organizations who come on to different lands. And I would really appreciate if you would please, when you get home, Google the term THERAC, T-H-E-R-A-C. That was a radiation therapy machine that was sponsored by Atomic Energy Canada. And that machine did not calibrate properly. And so that people were burned, some people were killed, they died because of radiation therapy they got. And it seems that all the while Atomic Energy Canada was kind of trying to attribute it to human error in the local hospitals, etc., where the treatments were being given. And later on it was found, and there was quite an analysis done about this, that it was actually a machine problem. So I don't care, and when you look at Chalk River too, the whole history of Chalk River. So I really don't care if they call themselves Atomic Energy Canada or Nuclear Waste Management. You can change your name all you want. But from other speakers here too, as well as the THERAC and the Chalk River experience, what we see is you don't change a culture when you change your name. So there's a culture of secrecy. There's a culture of non-transparency, and we've seen it historically. It's right here. We know about it. So that's another reason, please, why I don't want them mucking around in our backyard. So thanks.
Bonjour. My name is Kathy Jack. I did opening prayer, and normally we don't translate our prayers, but I think it's really important that I translate what I said. And when I did my prayer, I talked about how happy I was in my heart that we are now doing what the Creator, when the Creator put us here, He made promises with us. With men, He gave the responsibility of looking after land. And for women, He gave women the responsibility of looking after water. And in my prayers, I talked about that I was, it made my heart feel happy to witness this event that we're practicing. And we're enforcing the promises that we made with Creator. So I wanted to share that with you. Be rich.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Can you hear me at the back? Good. I would make a very brief but pointed message to our City Council in Thunder Bay. It wasn't that long ago, for us old folks, that the City of Thunder Bay voted in a plebiscite 91.6% against having nuclear waste buried and transported through this area. And I would remind Mayor Boschkoff that he was the one that moved the resolution. Now this matter is going to come before City Council again before very long. We're working on it. And I would ask City Council to respectfully honor the message they've heard today from the surrounding First Nations in this territory. Thank you.
We have another speaker from Grassy Narrows. Clara. Clara's actually also somebody who used the land as a young woman, so she knows what she's talking about.
Hello, Mikach, for listening. I grew up, I'll introduce myself a little bit. I grew up way back then when we lived off the land with my family. We followed the seasons. My dad and brothers were trappers, and so they sold furs and stuff like that. Summer, we went blueberry picking, and in the fall it was rice picking, and there was no welfare, and now I don't see that anymore, and it's only welfare that I see on people, with people, and oh yeah, I forgot I wanted to say I am here because I got invited over here because I went up to our grade, Judy De Silva. She's been fighting with Berkeley and all that, so I went up to her when I saw that they were gonna put the nuclear waste in Waverley, and that's still close to Grassy, and so that's why she invited me to come over and speak a little bit. And it's always speaking. I've sat on boards back in my community, every board, and it's always like also to do with like I sat with education boards. I sat with child welfare boards, and that's what I'm worried about. Like our chief said, they're not going to be able to enjoy what we have, and it's not only us. It's nuclear waste. It's going to affect everybody, even in their towns and all that. So I don't know why they make this nuclear. And then they can't get rid of it themselves safely. So I hope you'll support us in our fight with this. For not only our little people, but your little people too.
Okay, so it's not a rally or a protest without our drums, so we're gonna have some singers here. Okay, and Judy is gonna share some words here.
Bonjour, so we have singers here. Can you make your way up here? Singers, Kwelk, Audrey, Esther. So just like stand in the line, and then maybe. So I wanted to, while the women are making their way up, thank you all for coming here. I know there's a Thunder Bay people contingent that are really against nuclear waste. Thank you for showing up. I really acknowledge you for being here. And it was really short notice. The chief was going to be meeting with NWMO today, and then we're going to be outside and protest outside, as he said, a straight, strong no against nuclear waste. And we as Anishinaabek people have that responsibility to protect the water and Mother Earth and for future generations. And one of the things I always say is like,
when we're fighting against these things that destroy the land, we don't only speak up for Anishinaabek. The poison doesn't stop at us as Anishinaabek, but the poison is usually first contact with our people in every place, like across Turtle Island. We're always the first contact for poison. And Grassy Narrows is well known for mercury poisoning. But we also know there's like a gold mine near Waverley that has a tailings pond as big as Mount Polly, and Mount Polly breached and went into the Quesnel River. So there's all these resource extractions that are targeted on First Nation territory all the time. And we are such small people, like in my community, there's 800 people that live there. And when we make noise, it's just like a little mosquito, on the government's back. But when it's all of us together, standing together, we become millions of mosquitoes. And hopefully it'll become a hornet. And I know, like, industry is so powerful. Industry has way billions of more money than us. But us, we have the heart. In our hearts, we have that to protect humanity. And as Anishinaabek, we always feel it in our hearts, like our responsibility to the future generations, the little children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren that are not born yet. Well, some of us already have great-grandchildren. I do. And so it's just acknowledging those children that can't speak for themselves right now, that are going to be born in about 50 years, 100 years, and they're going to remember that we stood up for them at this day, April 2024, and they're going to look back on that and they'll say, yeah, my great-grandma was there, my auntie was there, So that's what we carry as Anishinaabek, is always feeling that responsibility for the future generations, not just our lives today. And this nuclear waste that's supposed to be coming this way, it's going to be coming by the highways, by the water close by here with those big boats. And it's going to expose a lot of our relatives, and they're going to be unknowingly exposed to it as a semi would go by. I remember my friend went to the Philippines, and they're fighting against nuclear waste there. And she said they had a geigometer by a train that was carrying the nuclear waste in the train. And she said the geigometer, she was like far from it. She said went off the walls, like how powerful that waste was. The other thing is they'll brainwash the mainstream Canadian society, and they'll say it's safe. It's in a capsule that's gonna, it's not gonna leak. But one thing we know as Anishinaabek is that when it goes deep into the earth, there's these small little waters that are in the earth, aquifers, and that run under the earth. And when they put that nuclear waste into the earth, they say it's going to be safe, but eventually there's going to be a breach, and it's going to poison thousands. Probably there's only 30 million people in Canada, but the watershed that we share goes up to Wabagon River, to Lake Winnipeg, up to Hudson's Bay. That's thousands of people that will be exposed to that. So we as Anishinaabek, one of the things we have is singing. So we're gonna sing a song, and there may be just a few of us here, but in the way we believe as Anishinaabek, the ancestors, the spirits, they come and stand with us. So there's probably filling this whole park here, standing with us, side by side with us, and that's what we depend on, is that spirit to help us, stand with us as we sing this song. We don't know the song, we didn't sing it, but we'll figure it out. So somebody could come hold the mic for us here.
Okay, so the song that we're gonna sing is actually, we call it Carissa's song or Mother Earth song. And this song came from the spirit. It came when this, one of our women in our community, she was beaten to death by her partner. And it's a song for the earth, for the women, because Indigenous women go through a lot. In statistics, it's mostly the women that are going missing and murdered. And when my daughter Carissa was 3 months old, this happened to one of the women in my community. And I feared for my daughter's life because of the stuff that I went through as a woman. And I feared for what she's gonna face as a woman, as an Anishinaabe woman. And when the blockade went up, the earth goes through something every single second that we're here. Every single second the earth is facing some kind of abuse with the mining, them digging, taking all this stuff out of the earth. They're cutting the trees, they're poisoning the waters. So this is the Mother Earth song, Carissa's song we call it. And it's to empower, to bring strength and courage. So that's the song we're going to share.
Can you hold the mic in the center there? Hold it up. Stand closer. Or, yeah, or that's good. No, like, so you should get all of them twice. So my voice. Just kidding. No, just kidding.